you respond directly to somebody here?
Yeah, you can type a comment down below.
It'll go right to him.
It'll go in, wherever they commented at.
What is up, everybody? Happy Sunday morning. Welcome into Husker Hangover. I'm Matt Vrzal, your host. Thank you so much for joining us. John and Brian, relax. Got an hour and 45 minutes, boys. And I couldn't find my shirt. And I had to MC an event last night, so I got done watching the game about 4 in the morning. And I left the dome light on in my truck. And yeah, we'll start when we start, fellas.
Good times, man.
No, thank you guys for joining us on Husker Hangover. It was just one of those days where we're like, all right, I know what's going to happen. Not the outcome Nebraska looking for in that game, but you either win or you learn. That's where you're at now. Okay. They learned that, and I couldn't believe this. Tommy Frazier and I are doing a podcast, 5115. Tommy said this when Mickey got hired and it was after Oklahoma, we were talking about it. I said, how many teams do you think are more talented than Nebraska as we were looking at the rest of the schedule? And he threw it, that's Cam. He threw one out there and said, I think there's only two. And I thought, oh, okay, he's going to say Purdue, or he's not going to say Purdue. But as we went through it, I said, this team, no, this team, no. I said Purdue. He said yes. I said, really? We went through the rest of them, got to Michigan. Everybody was a no in regard to having more talent than Nebraska, but Michigan. I said, wow. I said, I've never. So I thought the only two teams that had more talent, and I didn't. I had to go look at the depth charts and I had to look at everything and work through it. Purdue is a talented outfit. Nebraska didn't quite have enough team yet to win that game. That now, if you learn that lesson, right? If you learn that lesson, we can't have this. You can have a 10-point lull, not a big deal. And this is just, I'm talking about Nebraska. No, Alabama, who also lost but came back from a bigger deficit. But if you have just a little bit more team, that 17-point swing there, which is what really got Nebraska behind the 8 ball. Now you're playing catch up in everything, was what got it offline. Now, parts that I saw and that I liked about it. Resilient team. They fought back multiple times. A couple unfortunate turnovers, a couple interceptions from Thompson. But the resiliency of the team, which is what you want from them. Now, if you can start to shift the mind where we're the ones that attack, we're the ones that are the ones that are creating the 10-point swing, right? we have the 17 unanswered. It's Captain Obvious here, but now you're creating things, right? But they're not there yet. But it's what you got to continue to work to. You got a guy that goes 7 catches, 237, 2 touchdowns. It's a pretty good day for Palmer, but it was what we talked about the week before and what we talked about on Tommy and I's podcast was that the defense was going to be taken advantage of in that game. The offense needed to answer that bell for them. And it couldn't miss those chances, and unfortunately it didn't. So to some questions we go. Brian asks, how many games has Casey Thompson lost before an inept line gets him killed? At least they're nice enough to help him up after the old D-line. There is no magic pill for this, folks. Like it ain't going to change overnight. It ain't going to change in 3 weeks, 4 weeks. It ain't going to change. So what needs to be, and I think what is being done, is you have to find things that complement their skill sets. I think at times some of the things they do, I don't want to get real jargony with you, aren't what's best suited for what those guys do. There's going to be, like, on your script of plays when you start a game, you're going to have to look at some things like that. You're going to have to find out what's going on. And, hey, can we do this? Right? This is where we're at. This is where they're at. There's plenty of things you can take advantage of aggression from a defensive line. Somehow now that's called the gap scheme, but it's pin and pull. Somebody blocks down, somebody pulls and kicks out. I'm a fan, and I think it would benefit them of some swing stuff because I think Nebraska's got some quick, athletic guys on the outside if you just get the ball quickly to them. But it isn't going to be different. And I know it's a point of contention for everybody. I know everybody's fired up about it, but you are correct. They've got to do. I would maybe look at running back, which let's no word of a lie. Our running backs aren't real good at helping in pass protection at times. So now you're doubling down on things not going well. But again, get into a chip mindset. Anytime I have an edge rusher or an inside rusher, I'm gonna get somebody to run through and just chip the guy. I'm gonna knock him back in front of my guy. And then we'll go from there. Yeah, last night it was rough. I was the MC for an event at Scott. I was the MC for Angel Flight. Thank you everybody for coming out and participated. And it is funny, and they're not doubting me in a bad way. But people, I got matcha on my finger. People are like, I'm buzzing through the crowd. I tuxed up. I had on a green paisley tux, tied a bow tie, which I had to prove to people I had to untie it at the end of the night just to show I did it. And I'm buzzing the crowd, and they're like, what are you doing here? And I was like, well, I am the master of ceremonies of this little venture. And they were like, what? You gonna do what? Like, yeah. So we got her going, and they're cattle calling people in. I look up the clock, and we were supposed to have started at 7:30. I look at the clock, it says 8:05. I was like, well, we are not in a good spot right out of the gate. We're a half hour behind, and they tell me this thing goes forever. So in the words of the great Pat McAfee, how you doing? Keep it moving. I got her done. We were out of there by 10:30. So I had a good time, but I was getting updates when I didn't have to speak from people. It was like this the whole night. So everybody watch the tables. I had a super emphatic set of fans right in front of me. So anytime something great would happen, just a scream and double hands up. To which I probably should have counted them as bids. But It it was a fun night. But anyway, then I went out, got into a couple. One of my buddy's wife's favorite songs, the thong song. So we put that on at the bar we were at. And this thing, listen, man, everybody's got that jam. If you got a jam you like, throw it in the comments. You put the thong song on, and it's like, oh, it's like uh, Naked Gun, Reggie Jackson, but like more dancey version of that. She goes. I mean, she just starts dancing, and it's like we're back in the '90s, and she's doing it. And so left there. As I was leaving, one of the guys that I was with was like, "Hey, how are you doing to do the show in the morning? You haven't watched the game." So, well, I'm gonna head back down to Paisans. I said I gotta wait out and see how long that is before they play a replay, and then we're gonna go to work. And so we did that, and we got that done. But yeah, overall, you got a team now that will fight. Um, which I'll take it because for so long we had to think, holy snikes, I forgot about that play. I think it's the first touchdown. 6 guys in coverage, 1 receiver, or there were 3 receivers. We had 6 guys within like 5 yards of the ball, and we missed it. Young secondary going to make some mistakes, but overall the team will fight, and they will battle, and they will come back. A lot of us still doubt. It got down 27-10. Raise your hand if you thought, well, this baby. Actually, I had a 2 or 3 guys text me, this is going to get ugly. And normally when I would raise my hand, it would be very high with that sentiment. This time I was only like, I don't know. I'm half and half. Trey Palmer goes off. Lots of good plays. Like, I can find more things that were done well than I can find reasons I think it will spiral, if that makes sense. So Nebraska is now 2-2 in Mickey Joseph's tenure as Nebraska interim head coach. That's a team, Purdue has lost, just stating facts. Purdue has lost to Penn State, who's ranked very highly. Purdue has lost to Syracuse, who I'm not sure how Syracuse did against NC State. But Syracuse is ranked. Those are their losses. So this isn't like a schleb team. Off week now to regroup again. Okay? And then you get in now. You got Illinois. And old Brady B, he don't care. Brett Bielema can just flat out coach the game of football. Many people have written him off. He likes to have fun. He's an extracurricular guy. He's not afraid to suck down 47 blue yummies. But he can play football. This will be a physical game. What he saw Purdue do to Nebraska, quick slant, run. He's gonna prod them with running the ball. He's gonna say, okay, safety, come up and help. Right corner, now you have no help. Now I can take advantage of your matchup over there. So I can find more things that I can see we can take forward with us than I can see things we need to get rid of. The Palmer Thompson connection, it's pretty awesome. Grant again ran hard. Yant scored the first touchdown. Like, good to see him in the mix. So that's where I'm at. That's where there should be a pick. Brian's asked for a pick of the Tux. There should be one on the interweb somewhere, Twitter, Facebook. I'm guessing is going to have one at some point in time. Sean said the uses of the draw play helped at times. The right side of the line looked a smidge better. Do you feel Banks would be better at left tackle and move Corcoran to left guard? Could that help? Draw. I just miss draw. Like, not enough people run it. Not enough people utilize it in big situations. Because you get, 3rd and 8. And then you bring in, here comes the pass rush specialist. And here comes this and then that. all that dude on the end is doing is trying to beat the tackle to a point that's at the same level as the quarterback's drop. So he's just going to sprint up the field. And then when you slide draw underneath that, like that's awesome. Like that's kind of a slap in the face to the defense. It's like, hey, you better get it figured out. But I do like that. I think right now you're probably willing to have somebody mix up combinations again. I wouldn't do anything too crazy. Corcoran's already played guard. Maybe throw Banks over there and see what happens. Donovan, we'll know. I'd say probably just keep tinkering. You're putting up a boatload of pass yards. I think they only had 120. Check up something. 476, yeah. Okay, so 354 passing and 122 on the ground. Thompson was 16 of 29 for 354 and 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Yeah, with that rushing, right? You take out Palmer's 60-yard rush, you got 62 yards. Now, he got it. I'm not taking it out. I'm just saying your actual running back running the ball was 62 yards. Got to find somebody with that. Bradley J. says, outside of injuries, our linebacker group has not developed, nor does it have depth. This is on the position coach. It's fair. That's a fair statement. There should be more question about why there isn't more depth at the linebacking position, why the play doesn't seem to pop off of the screen. I think Dawson's group made the biggest jump, right? And as a defensive lineman, your job is to occupy blocks. On a scale of 1 to 10, I think Nebraska was about last night at a 7, as far as physically occupying the blocks. That now is linebacker safety problem. It's getting to the correct position. I think sometimes they get a little bit wide on their fill. So if I'm a defensive lineman here and somebody's blocking me, this tackle will say just comes over and hits me here, and this guard's hitting me here. That next fill for that linebacker has to be right here. Okay, just real close to it. Sometimes it gets out here. Well, now if you get one step too far upfield, then that cut is there. They just showed the touchdown here on TV of Mauga Clements down the goal line. You're at the 1. I get it. But when he went to make the tackle, he got to a point where he felt it was time to deliver the blow. He needed about 2 more steps. I think he gets a real good shot on it. But didn't happen. But I think that is a fair assessment. There needs to be better linebacker play. There needs to be better depth. We can't be this thin at positions. Did anybody ever sit around and think, too, what would happen if they never found Reimers? Right? The walk-on kid just went and played his ass off the whole time. What if he'd never been around? What does that room look like then? Mudwater and Matcha is the connection today. I don't think Syracuse won easy. I think they won by 3 points. It was 29-32. 32-29. Brian. Shout out to my Grand Island Islanders. Heading up to the Metro. Beating Omaha North. I went to the West Side Millard South game Thursday. Just because no word of a lie, I just needed to get out of here for a little bit. Spent a lot of time in Python. Still love it. Just sometimes you got to get outside the 4 walls for more than 2 hours a day. And was talking to, there's some college coaches there, and we were talking, and like, oh yeah, you like this, that, the other. I said, well, you got the Terry kid down at North, and like, oh, who do they play? And these coaches don't know where I'm from. And they're like, oh, this Grand something. It's like, oh, like Grand Junction? Like, no, like Grand Island. I'm like, oh yeah, like that's a great place. Like, oh really? How do you know? I was like, because I'm from there. Well, I was like, they're about to win that game. I said, I'm just telling you. I said, and they knew Tomlin. They know what Tomlin is about. He was able to pull one out. Tommy asked, one thing I did take away from the game was Purdue QB O'Connell's real deal. See him on Sunday. He's good. He's a good college quarterback. I don't know if you're going to see him. I don't know if you're going to see him that far. Andrew asked, can we get some of you and some of your former Hogs from the O-line specific NIL? Need to make it rain in the portal. There was a question up here from before. Hold on. We got to type something here real quick, and I can't type and talk. Somebody back here in the StreamYard. Brian, the game happened September 17th. The score was Syracuse 32, Purdue 29. You just Google it. I Googled Syracuse versus Purdue. Football. Because if you don't, it'll come up basketball. Wrong, Brian, wrong. Just admit you're wrong, move on. Okay, here we go. Quattro. Great name. Is Donovan real our guy, or is he got till the end of the season? Let go at the end of the season. And then Andrew with some O-line specific. It's tough. I don't know with Donovan. Okay, I don't know. Here's what I like about Donovan: fiery dude, like dude that is intense. And I think sometimes your offensive line coach has to be a yeller screamer. I just do. I think it. I believe it. Sometimes it's better. It's hard to put it all on him, because what we're seeing, we can't tell. Is this a talent thing? Is this an effort thing? What is this? What is bringing us to this point? Is it coaching? Are the old habits too hard to overcome? Are the lack of hip mobility and hip hinge, ankle flexibility is another one that we've talked about. Is that the reason? If you get these guys in off season and they change all their workouts, does that make it right? Do those same players come out and look a world different next year? It will be a grown-up discussion that has to be had, and we can say, hey, we're going to part ways. We will give you the glowing review to anyone that calls about you, because we don't know. We could have put you in a really bad spot. Combination of what we were doing and where we're at, and or if you want to ride it out, we're going to get this in new to change this developmental phase of our game. We think you're going to be the guy. What I would say would make the second scenario that I just mentioned easier is if you're seeing progress every week. You're seeing things change. Because it isn't like, the hip mobility things have to take like 9 months to do. But they have to be addressed. Athleticism has to be addressed. If he does stay, I think the next way you go, and I like what Andrew's saying. But it's okay to not have 7-footers. It's okay to have 7-footers. They got to be special. They got to be real special, athletic freaks. I think I told this a couple weeks ago because they didn't have a game last week, but Austin said the first thing that he would do is no lineman over 6'5". None. We also had a discussion last week of just finding football players. They might not fit your mold or what your perfect ideal look of a lineman is, but that's okay. If you take the ones that are aggressive, athletic, powerful in the hips, Kels was at the deal last night. Chris was at the fundraiser, and we were talking. I said, "Hey, that little guy football team you got there?" And he said, "Yeah, and they're playing in a playoff game today. So good luck to them." We got Husker versus Husker little guy playoff football. This is not what the world needs. Got to have a bunch of way too intense former player dads like coaching like seventh grade football, and they're more nervous than the kids. Kelsey's got an intense look. Anyways, I got a game tomorrow. I'm like, okay, but they got a couple. You can see it in their hips, right? When little guys from all ages, it's just something you're born with, and then some can develop themselves into it. But they have explosive hips. They know how to use them. They know how to end the block. The real good linemen, your Will Shields, your Aaron Taylors, your Hoskinsons. It's real short range. They can just get it and explode into someone. Your linebackers that are real good had it. Phil Ellis had it. Dougie Coleman had it. Insert great linebacker name here. Terrell Farley. Safeties. Mike B. Mike B had, he just exploded into people. But you got to go out and find those guys, and they may not fit what the rest of the world thinks you need. That's okay. Take what you need. Take what you want to do. Oh my God, Nebraska took that guy. Yeah, we did, because he's a football player. Hard-nosed dude, great hips, great hands, doesn't like to lose. Student of the game. Boom, go. Then now you and the kid are together. It's like, hey man, we gotta go prove everybody wrong. I trusted you, you trusted me. Let's go. NIL specific. I still think huge opportunity misses Truck Center Company, the official sponsor of the Nebraska offensive line. Get them all standing out by a big semi truck. Done. Marketing wizard. My guy Eric. Morning, Buck. Says, what's with Thompson ball? I know he has someone in his face a lot, but the spin on the ball struggles, so the bad balls come out. I think clean pocket, clear pocket, he's good. Little brisk. There's no excuse. He should be able to throw it. So I'm in the same camp, Buck, but that kid, you guys, you just have an ice bath on the plane home for him. Things just probably release. It's no wonder some of the quarterbacks see ghosts, though. But he's hanging in there. He stays in the pocket. Anytime you go for 354, I think he had passing. Oh, maybe Brian was talking about Grand Island score. Sorry about that, Bree. Anytime you go for that, you're doing some things well. Trey Palmer would be a guy that was on that field that I think has NFL talent capability. He was blowing past people. He just was wide open. And it's good scheme and good, just good. Sean, you agree with me? Reimers was definitely missed last night. Oh, NC State won yesterday, yeah, so Syracuse lost. Park says lots of missed marketing opportunities. Small town kids on the line in the state. Yeah, that's true. That's true. Jamie said we kind of joked about you being the O-line coach, but I will send your resume to Mickey tomorrow. There will be people out there that you can find if Donovan and Nebraska choose to part ways. Player performance and everything that goes into the game, if you look at it, the head coach, the overseer, the athletic director, whomever it may be, should have every position coach's name, their rating. Okay, so in this game, I think This coach's position did this coach's position did that, boom, 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 down the line. And as good or bad as it is, it's like, well, hey, this position did this. I'm going to go talk to him and say, hey, what's going on here? Like, we got to get some stuff changed around. How are we going to make this seem we're struggling here? What do you need to succeed? What do you need us to change in preparation practice so we can get this, your group? Just I watched the game, I know you're a proud guy, but you realistically look at it and say, you're lagging behind here. Friday night, perfect example. Plattsmouth, we played Plattsmouth in Plattsmouth. Their defense came out, and they just outplayed us. To the point where I walked out and turned, I'm like, hey, it's okay if you just chuck this thing all over the yard because we are not good right now. Because it's not as bad as you think. I was like, it ain't good. It's not going well. And he, thankfully, that's why he's the head coach. He just patiently waited out. He found 3-4 plays they really liked. We ended up, busting one with 12 seconds to go in the game and won. But I didn't feel my guys were good in that. Preparation, I need to probably change. I got to mix things up. But the reason for this long talk is you have that, like, hey, bud, here's where we're at now. Like, you got 4 games. If after 4 games this ain't changed, I gotta probably move on. I gotta make decisions here. So let's get your room. Let's get your room going. I think I would be. I got a perfect world if I went down to Nebraska. I would just be like, I just want to be a cool guy. Like, I just want to walk around, be like, hey man, how you doing? What's going on? Look a little stressed. Need to relay anything, but I'd have like a job, like in the building. Trying to get Damon to let me be the sideline reporter. It's not going well. He didn't think it was nearly as cool of an idea as I did. But if I was going to doing that, and that's what I would want to do, because I think there's got to be a value. You got to have somebody there that can help them with the mental. But you look a little down, what's up? This, that, there. I'm fine. Like, if you're fine, then I got to see you play different. And if you're fine, then let's let this thing loose. Because here was this guy we recruited. Now I got this guy that's kind of tentative. He doesn't go, he's not a psycho anymore. Boom, get that going. Assistant offensive line coach. I'd take that. Shawnee says, do you think Brett Bielema is on Trev's list? He obviously knows how to win in the Big Ten, build a program. My only concern is that he isn't going to have his stud DC after this season. He's an interesting one to me. No. I would love to say yes, because I think he would be a guy. I may have to go in the summer up to, maybe they have an Illinois coaching clinic, because I would like to go see how they coach the position, because that thing rounded into form real quick. And they do some stuff there. Like they run multiple schemes. They run them well. Be intrigued to see even like how their off-season program goes. I would say no. Bielema is probably not on the list. I don't see that being a guy that Trev should. I think he should be a guy that Trev should contact, just to see how much he likes it. Because the thing with Bielema is, if he could take, look at Alvarez, was a Nebraska guy, then went to Wisconsin. Bielema was like, well, I was the coach at Wisconsin. Now I'm gonna go back over here, and I'm gonna just end it. That'd be an interesting one. Let's say your list though is Kleiman, Leipold, Campbell. I don't know about Rule. Rule has said he doesn't want to go, not interested in going and coaching. So we'll see. Maybe that's just a front they have to put up. If we name Mick Joseph head coach now, let's cure more dudes than if we would have waited until season's end. I don't know. That whole class, except for one, so the incoming class -1 has all stayed the same. Mickey, I believe, will stay regardless of what happens, which is huge. Like I said, everybody that's any good is tied to Mickey. And Mickey's got a 3-year contract. And God knows we will hear about buyout if it isn't him. But I believe Mickey stays, and then you give him a big old fat raise and say, you get out and do the recruiting. This is what every position is looking for. You go find them, and then you coach your position, and away we go. Ken says, since the arrival, here John says, sorry, go to John. Remember when coaches wanted to come to Nebraska to see how things were done? Old Stevie P pretty much shot that horse in the head, didn't he? He did. But we were on the cutting edge of things. We were way ahead of the curve. A lot of forward-thinking guys. A lot of forward-thinking people. But when you got in that building, the only thing discussed was football. That's it. Which is the way it should be with the business that Nebraska is. We are just doing this business. Our business is football. Business right now is good. How do we make business better? How do we make it boom, boom, boom? So now you got strength and conditioning guys that want to push envelope. Hey, we're going to try this workout. We think we can get even better at our athleticism, hip mobilities. Any of my ex-teammates that are listening, we would do this step over hurdles thing. They had high ones you'd step over, and they had low ones that you would squat under. So a lot of track people do it now. There's no way that we on the offensive line were like, this hurdle you want me to kick over is past the height of my hip. When I get over the top of this thing, it checks my oil, and I got to step over on the other side on my tippy toes. And now you want me to squat my fat ass down under this thing that's about 8 inches off the ground. Just wait, limbo in here, bud. But it helped. It helped a bunch for our explosion. And back, we always used to laugh back in the day because those little fences that they had to keep people off the field, or you can pull them out in their little sections. You had to put 2 hands on the top of the fence, and then you had to jump over and back and over and back. And it wasn't like jump over land and wait and come back. It was touch, 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 touch. Well, we were thick. We are big humans. And so some of them little chain link fence things they'd stick in there had a little sway to them by the end, because you just push down on them to make that a little lower so you didn't have to jump as high. But again, explosion. You're trying to work on your hip explosion. That was the way they would think to do it. Coach Osborne pressed the envelope quite a bit. He out of gun would have an RPO. It wasn't as, look at this, and it's revolutionary, and stick the ball out. Guy comes across. You're watching this outside backer. If he goes in, you just pull it out and throw it to somebody else. RPOs are just different versions of play action passes. That's all it is. But the reason they're different is because the play isn't determined by the call. Play action pass, you're faking that handoff. RPO, you have the option to give it or take it or throw it. So you were forward in everything. We had the first nutritionist. Dave Ellis came in. You were ahead of everybody. That's what made people want to come see you. How are they doing this over and over and over and over and over again? I'm going to go watch this. 4 stations of practice. Nobody's standing around. Nobody gets to be a spectator at practice. Every player gets hundreds of reps. You develop depth in your young guys because you find some that can play. It's pretty good. You were on the cutting edge of things. You were not reactionary to the world. You were creating the world. Then it all went away. And that it is what it is. That's what has happened. So you got to get back now where you can find something different. Is a form of training that gets you in better shape? Is it a form of Can you find a superfood that makes everybody jacked? I don't know, but that's kind of where you have to get back to. Jamie says you're not helping my negotiating power, and you said you would gladly take an assistant on my job. Yeah, I don't mind behind the scenes guy. I don't mind that at all. Sometimes when they're there, you don't know. There's kids there at college that think they know too much. I understand everything. Nah, they don't. But you're going to get in a rut. You're going to get down on your dumps when you're there. Inevitable. Our good friend does a ton of media. Hey, by the way, if you listened on radio, hit me up on how you think Damon did. I didn't get a chance to listen. Like I said, I was in and out of the game, and then I didn't find any audio from him. But, yeah, let me think how you thought DB did, if you listened that way. John says, I guess hiring a very unqualified offensive line coach to coach offensive line consisting of very overrated players in order to entice a quarterback who was never going to come to Nebraska. To come to Nebraska wasn't the best idea. Riola didn't pick the players, but he should be able to get something more than swinging doors out of them. Is it possible for Trent to snap the ball and then slide the ball to the right tackle spot where Nebraska should have a tackle blocking? It might work better than what they are doing now. Now that Saban has obviously lost his touch to Alabama, should Trev go after him as Nebraska's head coach? Life gets at you, man. Life will get at you real quick. Credit to Josh Heupel. But I was prepping for the show last night, and I had the opportunity to just watch. First time I sat down and watched a football game in 4 or 5 years, just start to finish. But Heupel had his guys, and he found things he knew he could be Bama at. It was one of the first times I thought Bama looked slow. Like I thought their defensive line looked tired and gassed, and Tennessee took advantage. I don't know about Saban. I know John's being tongue-in-cheek with that. Saban has now has to change. He has to evolve. They still have crazy, crazy talent. Okay? But now you got some young up-and-comers that are also out getting crazy, insane talent. They're keeping it fresh. They're keeping it going, and it's different. The world of football evolves very quickly. Oh, Trev, just shoot him a big number. $12 million. $12 million, here you go. 15 a year. Come fix it. Patrick asks, how hard is it to teach basic offensive line technique? I don't think anything in the game of football is super hard to teach once you have the mindset of how many reps can we get on this? How many times can I run the same thing over and over and over and over and over and again so we don't think anymore? That shutting off the brain, eliminating doubt from your mind, having a bad play, erasing it, going on to the next play is kind of where I see that thing going. Like that would be the next huge step. That would be the next thing if they can get that done. That would be where it is. I think I don't necessarily think it's physical limitation. I think it's mental limitation at times. I think they get in their own head. I think they doubt themselves, but then through coaching, then I think you get better at it and get more confident at it. Drilling the simple things that are the building blocks of your core principles of your line or what it is. I don't think it's a hard task. I just think it's a repetition and a time task. And right now, kind of where Nebraska is, you can't take anything for granted. You can't. I do it at times, and I pay the price for it. I do it at times, and it's like, we should have. Maddie Livingston, first one into work today.
2 minutes early.
I know. Overachiever. Will the Thrill. Also right on time. Morning, Will. Good morning. Jeez. Will's a big poker player. College guy poker player. So yeah, I it's not hard. It's repetition. Repetition. Chris says, why are our tackles like statues? Is that athletes? Is that athleticism or technique? Sorry. Yeah. Yeah. It's understanding. There's so much that has to get processed by a tackle, a guard, a center in a very, very minute part of time. And sometimes everything goes out the window. And you're just like, we're going to do this. Like, this is what's going to happen. And that's how it goes. The thing that gets me at times with their footwork is just the width of their base. Now, again, this is beating bad habits out of people where they have to trust you and what you're doing. They have to make sure you know what's going on, and you have to make sure that you're aggressive with correction of minute detail. If that foot, okay. So if I'm a tackle and there's an edge rusher here, we need to do that. 18s. Yeah. 50 18s. Yep. This is my life.
What were we talking about?
We're talking about forward. So if I got an end here, he's got 2 feet. Okay. What I want to do is just take my steps. And it's not a lot. 1, 2, 3. So now if my outside foot is in the middle of his crotch, and I'm active now with my feet as I'm waiting, right? My feet keep moving. I'm just looking at him right here in the sternum. He can shake this. He can shake these. He can shake this. He can't shake this. This will move a couple inches. If I just sit and watch the sternum, and if he wants to go that way, now all I got to do is retreat 1, 2. And I'm still middle crotch. And the moves he wants to make are, please, sir, I beg you, show me your spin move and come back in here so I can just pummel you into the ground. Please. Right here. Go here. If he wants to run the hill, which means run around me this way, I'm going to get to a point where I have to turn it open. But when I turn it open, I can hit with this hand, and then this hand should go right either rib cage hard, or if you do this and this is his hip and you hit that hip, it'll just dead leg him and he'll just fall over. So it's base width and then just moving those feet, making sure your feet are active when you get there. But I agree. There are things that they just have to be better at by this point in the season. and you have to overcome, how they are looking at stuff. Did Michigan try to celebrate their fake national championship of their game? Yeah. Sorry, Michigan fan. I think oh, Jamie, don't do that. I can't read Jamie's. That's mean. Can you scheme away your offensive line problems? Roll out, double wing back, tight end. Yeah, you can do all those things. You can schematically get that because you've given them every opportunity. You give them every opportunity to prove that they're going to be able to shoulder the load, and it hasn't come to fruition. So now you got to get creative. You got to run a lot of bootleg. You got to run a lot of everybody block left. We're going to roll right. But when you're running that, see if it were me, I would I would drill inside zone. Okay, which meaning all my linemen are going to work in pairs. Rule's very simple. I know this is. Here we go again. Rule 1: am I covered? If I am covered, I base. If I'm uncovered, I double. That's it. Okay. Because what we're going to create is lateral motion and double teams with the hope to get to a linebacker. Or even better, I get so good at the double team that I take the linebacker, or I take the defensive lineman back to the linebacker. Now the linebacker's got to make a choice. He could be wrong. If he picks this way, my back can cut that way. If he picks this way, my back can just force it to the play side. So now I've got Grant going downhill. I've got double team blocks in a lateral motion. Just I want it to move this way. Because if I get one guy back over here that's lazy, this becomes foot in the ground and cut back. That's how I would do it. I think that would benefit what they have for talent and what they have for skill in the backfield. I think those would be good. By the way, this shirt is F-bomb, not F-missile. Got a message like, what's your shirt mean? F-missile? Who says F-missile? So that's how I would do it. But there's a ton of things. Wham. If I had some borderline psychopath that was real tough and strong, I'd put him in the backfield at like an H-back position and just motion him around. And then I get my timing where I snap it. He comes and just tries to smoke some defensive lineman. And we double team block away from it and you just run right underneath it. There's a ton of things creatively you can do with scheme to hide deficiencies. That's what scheme is for. Jay asks, is it coaches or someone behind the scenes evaluating offensive line are getting pummeled today? Offensive line talent in the state and surrounding areas. My roster's starting to fill up for off-season work, and had the discussion with a few kids already. I said I will 100% work with you because I didn't come find you, you found me. Now I know there's a certain level of buy-in you have in this. Okay, so now here's where we go next. If you're not in the mindset that when you play and someone played a smaller class, I said, but you have to be the one that pops out on the screen. Not every now and then, every play. And I watched your film, and right now you don't. You'll go 2 or 3 plays where you're it. You're all that you see on the film, which is hard as a lineman. And then we'll go 6 where I don't even know you're playing. So what you got to work on now is shifting your mind towards like, I got to be dominant every play. And it'll be, oh, you're meathead and you're this, you're that. If you've played so hard that you throw up on the field, that matters. It does. Coach was like, that dude will go hard. It's not an end all be all. You're not recruiting a puker. But if you know they'll go hard in that, you'll take that guy. But that mindset, I have to be dominant every play. I give everything. I have every play. There's nothing left to worry about. That's it. I have nothing to concern myself with. Literally left it all out there. So the evaluation of the in-state talent, I think they have to find better methodologies. I think there's better ways they can do that. I think they can get that done with very, very subtle change. Very easy. We ciphering code on here? What's going on?
Oh, Tom asked what the penalties were for both sides.
Oh,
yesterday.
I got it.
So I was Nebraska had 4 penalties for 40, and Purdue had 2 for 14.
That's a win. Only 4 penalties. Four penalties for us is a hell of a day. Brian, if you're not doing anything, Kearney, you can purchase a Pison's franchise. You can open one up out there. Of course, says our O-line in the state not D1 level, or are they just not getting them? They're there. They're definitely there. They just have to be. You have to be honest in what you're going to get. Outside of a couple freaks, they're going to pop up. Once every 3-4 years, 2-3 years, whatever time frame you want to put on it. Everybody else you're getting is going to be developmental, and that would be a huge off-season adjustment. Like if I'm whomever the head coach is and Donovan stays, say, hey, what's your development plan look like? Do you have 40 agility vertical scores you want us to target? Because the way recruiting is now, I mean, all this kid stuff is out there. So you get one of your computer guys, go down there and be, hey, find a guy that does all this, that matches these numbers. Then you go to the tape. Hey, tape's good. Tape's real good. Okay, now let's reach out to him, see if there's any interest. Find out about his mom and his dad. Go to school. How does he treat the lunch lady? Janitor, how does he interact with those people? And the more of those boxes you check, now you bring them in. Say, hey, here's where you're at. Okay, you're not ready made, but you're our guy. So we're gonna give you time to develop. Okay, this first year, we want you to get acclimated to the speed of the game. It's much, much faster than anything you've seen in your life. Now, year 2, we want you to be at this strength level. We want you to do this, this, and this. And, be able to go up and over the hurdles, jump over the fence, just work on your explosion, those kind of things. So now, if you get this done in year 1, you may start to see some time. But then year 3, so redshirt, freshman, sophomore, you're going to be a contributor now. And now the jobs are there for you to take. So you can get those. But they're there. You have to have a finite eye and you have to know what you want. You have to see a project. Any player out there, you want to be the one they come talk to? Make it so you just jump off the film. Make it so there's nobody else their eyes are drawn to but you. Making sure that you get that stuff done. Weren't we puking practice champs under Frost, though? Too soon. Through effort, we'll say. We'll do that. Not through. Man, it's going rough when you can't even tell a joke and the joke fails. You're on hard times. Cool thing here with Brenton. Brenton is in Germany, right? Brenton, Germany. And he said, hey, my mom's birthday is this week. Can you come? Can I? Could she come in? I just want to get it for her. I was like, yeah, sure, absolutely. So she came in, super nice lady, huge Husker fans, and just so happened Tommy and I had to record later in the week, so Chief Frage comes in, and they were just Tommy Frazier. Like, yeah, that's Tommy. And Tommy was great. He was very funny and personal, and but yes, we were happy. We were happy to help. Happy to help her get that, or have her celebrate her birthday. Other observations from the game defensively, and some had mentioned it. Missing Reimers was tough. I think if you wondered where your leadership comes from on the defensive side of the ball, that's your guy. Flat around, he had been playing real well. Hope he heals from injury quickly or whatever it is. But then he's the one that need him in the game. Got an off week to get healthy. So he's probably the leader of your defense and the one that gets things handled. Up front, I'm not going to say, I would say they probably stayed at the same level they had played. You always want to incrementally move forward and get better every game. That one I thought stayed pretty flat and stagnant. And the tackling, right? We got same way as I was explaining. A fun part that probably not enough people talk about football is its angles and decisions. So Purdue's running back, kind of gashing Nebraska for yards. If you understand that my angle and my partner's angle, so whoever's next to me, we have to be in lockstep with that. If we both get over the top, meaning running back here, you can see that, running back here, going this way, and we both end up over here, there's a problem. If we both end up here, now he's got to make a decision. He's got to make a business decision. But there's too many times where we're like this, hard plant in the ground and then go. And then we slip and fall. We dive at an ankle. Let's say tackling would be a point of focus again this week for Nebraska. But I would keep the foot on the throttle with practice because it's obviously working. Like I think they go Sunday, have Monday off. So I would make Tuesday and Wednesday real uncomfortable. Like I'd make them hard practices. We would get at it pretty good. We would go at that deal pretty hard. And then Thursday, we can wind down. Friday, maybe liven it back up a little bit. Saturday. Honestly, Saturday, I'd probably have a team bonding day. I'd say, hey, everybody get down here by 10. We're going to get some breakfast food. We're going to, do walkthrough or get out and light scrimmage, whatever. Then afterward, team vote, or we're going to get a bunch of different TVs. We're all going to sit and watch TV. We're all going to watch football games together. We're going to watch other schools. Just kind of have a team day to be around the game of football together. I think I would go. If they wanted to invite alumni down, I would come. That'd be awesome. Just to sit around and hang out. David says just hopped on and has been addressed. Keep scrolling. But what does the D have to do to shore up the run defense? Boilers ran all over us and they are a passing team. What is it? Michigan, Minnesota, Wisconsin going to do that in the last 5 games? Yeah. I mean, all of them, Minnesota. That's got to be next. Like, the offense can put up numbers, and we've had a lot of offensive line discussion with subpar results up front. Defense has got to be the next set to pick up the torch. Say, okay, we can't get run on like this. Bush may have to now we can get a little more creative because we feel we have a good grasp of base concepts. So now we can be more exotic. We can call things differently. We can do different stunts and fronts and blitzes. Some of it is pad level. Got to make sure you're staying as low as possible. Feet are always firing, hands in a good spot. It's all fixable, but defense in this off week would be my point of emphasis. We have to understand where our help is, understand our angles, trust that guy to make a tackle if need be, and do the little things like brush up the minute. Am I in my proper gap control as they are running the ball? Can I match my teammates' effort with everything? Because the way Michigan will run it, we saw it against Penn State. If you watch that Penn State Michigan game, Penn State Michigan going back and forth. Penn State gets turnover, touchdown, blah 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 blah. They're going. And then they brought in number 7. Michigan did, and they ran a play, and you had one dude that didn't do his job. Gash, 70-yard touchdown. Penn State gets it, ends up having to, I think they punted or either got stopped on 4th. Give it to Corum. One play, touchdown. One guy not doing his job. Teams that can pound and grind, you can throw Illinois on your list. There's truth to the thing. Fatigue is going to play in. It's another room that's very light. It doesn't have a lot of depth. So the longer the offense can stay on the field and help them out, the better that will go. But now you're into Illinois. Illinois will run it at you. Illinois plays good defense. Like if you look at what Illinois wants to do, it hasn't taken them long to do this. Bielema, don't remember his defensive coordinator's name, but he's a hot candidate now for jobs. When you watch Illinois play, their guys are in the right position a lot on defense. They all fly to the ball. They all know what the other is doing, which makes it much easier. So now they all play that thing as a group. And then when they sub somebody in or a different coverage package comes in, so they go from a base defense to a nickel defense, which means you just bring in a 5th defensive back. Probably a little bit bigger guy, can handle a tight end, can do those things. Can help you in the run game if you need to. When he's there, it still looks very, now they'll have breakdowns. They're college guys, you get different looks, something catches your eye. But that's how they play. Then offensively they are a problem because they can throw it decent enough to keep you honest, but they can run it real well. They run it as it should be done. They get engaged, they get feet wide, they're moving, they get push. The backs are good at reading it. They have plays where they can force the edge of the defense. Right, so now you get the safety flying. They'll come back and then they'll run something that looks like they're going to force that edge and they'll just cut back. So Nebraska's defense will be the biggest test for them thus far of the season. I think it was Chris, with Purdue, and Purdue is better at running than they have been in the past. They used to want to air it out the whole time. Now they have some focus on the run game. But that's where that's got to be the next step. Like that's got to be the next defense now has to get back to where they were before this Purdue game. You got beat. It happens. You pick yourself back up, get your off week, and get back to basic fundamentals. Make sure repetition. They run this, we're all here. If we can get you all there, now it's up to you. The scheme has held. It's up to you guys now to make plays. If you don't make the plays, they're going to get big yards. If you make the play, look great. You just got to do it over and over and over again. So those are the things that probably need addressed the most. Nyla says, morning verse. Good morning, Nyla. Would you rather see our defense get more flags but be aggressive, or less flags and not be aggressive? I don't think it's so definite if it's a yes or a no. You can be aggressive and not get flags. Now, does a flag on 3rd and 5, piss you off? Yeah. The 3rd and 5 flag just can't happen. But if you get guys trust scheme, trust each other, easy to fly around, play hard. That one, I just don't understand that. They just showed the Purdue's first touchdown again. It's like, man, a lot of people around there. No, we didn't even tip it. Beat it on a slant. Sorry, watching the highlights here. But yeah, this is one with Clements where you just got to drive through that instead of getting not driven through. But yeah, that aggression comes from relaxation. If I'm calm of mind, I know what's going on, and I can get after it. Yeah, I do it. But yeah, if we can eliminate the penalties, lack of penalties is awesome. See that one, that it's just that should have been a stop, and then you're trying to just hold to a field goal. That takes points off the board. Might not be a bad idea. Take all the seats we got. What's our next away game? Michigan. We go home away.
Yeah, November 12th in Michigan.
I got an idea. Well, Cam and I are going to kick this one around here for a second. Coverage this week wasn't where I thought it would be. I think you win or you learn. We did a lot of learning. We did a lot of learning this week. I think we had the slant they ran for touchdown. I think they have that one back to do over again. You don't have to change anything. You just have to change a couple technical things. O'Connell went 35 of 54 for 391 and 4 touchdowns. A couple of those, we could have cut that down a little bit. Text I just received. Vrzal and Benning, sideline booth combo. What could go wrong? Exactly. I think this is a great idea. I think it's absolutely fantastic. No coaching questions this week thus far. You guys have come to terms with it.
Just beating up the O-line. That's the
yeah. But sometimes that's justified. Sometimes that it is what it is. You when you are something that is glaring on the field, it's easy to look at. It's easy to see. And it compounds on itself when you see the talent of your quarterback. And my quarterback, Clement's got to make that play. When you see the talent of your quarterback and the things that can happen, even when it's all mucked up in there, right, when it's all bad, you see those things go down, and that it's easy to view that as the next piece. If I'm Donovan and I look at it, I'm like, hey, probably got to make some subtle changes in the way we're preparing. And it's by no means god awful, but it's glaring at times. You had a receiver go for 237 yards. It's a hard way to make a living if that's what you can do because you had 122 yards rushing. If you can get those things kind of hammered out, but the fix, I don't know what the fix is. But you go in and you change and you tinker and you move around until something clicks. If that means we got to take guys and from different positions and move them to different spots on the line, you do it. Because that you put up 37 points. Anytime you put up 37 points, you should be the winner of the game. Okay. Without the lull in the middle and the 17 point swing, those hurt. You don't have what you need to get that done. I have learned though, if we don't start spot on time on these, our viewership drops. But yeah, I got after it a little bit last night, a little too late. It happens. Jamie says, oh, sorry, Christian says, okay, coach. With all the second half stats looking like they are, is it the whole coaching staff making changes one individual or is it a whole team change? I think, kind of at halftime, here's how it gets handled. A lot of time, the guys will get in the locker room. Your leaders will say things. They're like, hey, got to be better, got to play hard. It's not real technical. The coaches at that time are usually on a whiteboard. Like, hey, what do you see? What's this doing? What's that doing? And now you get into honest evaluation. So you look at your assistants and you're like, can your guys do this? The position coach has to be ready to answer that question honestly. And the head coach has to be ready sometimes for a blunt answer. Because that question has been asked to me a couple times at games. Can your guys do this? I'm like, yep. Can your guys do that? I'm like, nope, we can't. So we're going to avoid that. That'd be awesome. Then the coordinators will go meet with each individual group and you'll go over things that are changed. And it's not grandiose change. A lot of times it's very simple, intricate change. Instead of running this route here, you're going to run the complement route to it. So we'll just go easy. If you're going to run a post, now you're going to run a post corner. Okay. If you were hitting them on slant, now you're going to run a sluggo, which is a slant and go. Okay. You can run. Yeah. Those would be the things. Hey guys, we're normally, running this inside zone this way. One small change. We're going to declare this guy over here as our main linebacker. So now you go that way, and then your rules apply to that guy. So those are little simple things that could change. Then to make sure that that's relayed in an understandable form to the kids, and you have a tight, smart, efficient room, when the coach will be like, hey, what happened here? And or can we do this? And then the kid's like, coach, I lost you. I don't know I don't understand it. Then you back up, you re-explain it, make sure they understand it. And you can see in their eyes if they don't. Your eyes will never lie. That was a friend of mine was in, and him and his wife, and they had another friend in, and I could tell nobody was. I won't rat anybody out, but nobody in the group of four was a fan of one person, and you could just see it in their eyes. You could see they weren't. And so I started making real off the wall comments. Like, okay, we're gonna go. I'm like, all right, see you later. How you doing? Keep it moving. The lack of starters at linebacker hurt the DBs and giving them up inside route. It seemed like when Nebraska blitzes, they have pretty easy throws to open over the middle. Anytime any position gets thin, anytime any position gets a lack of depth, it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough because now you're moving people in, out, and around, and okay. I was just developing trust with that guy. Now he's gone, and I don't think I trust that guy. And so away you go. But that now if you've had cohesion and message and everything from the start, now when these things happen, your guys have more familiarity. They have more trust in that guy. But when it's in midseason, you're changing some stuff up. Chances are that guy's probably had a rep in practice that he screwed up. And now you get back into distrust and all those things. There were on those slants with an off coverage, meaning the cornerback is off. And then you got to have something sitting in there to scare that quarterback away from the throw. I think one of the slants that they ran, I think Nebraska had a zone blitz on. I think the end had dropped back, the defensive end or outside linebacker, and his drop wasn't the best. He actually probably should have been right in that throwing lane, but O'Connell made a good throw. They made a good catch. How nice is it to see how overall our special teams have come along this year? Now we have a solid punter coverage teams, and all of a sudden we can kick field goals. Makes me hopeful that the right coaching development, another weak spot might seem to improve in the offseason. Amazing how just a simple phase of the game that got neglected. I mean, if I'm not wrong, they blocked a punt in the game. Multiple field goals. I mean, special teams, we haven't even had to talk about special teams. By this point in previous years, we're usually just bitching about special teams. Like, special teams are terrible. All we do is fair catch kickoffs and drop punts and all this stuff. But it is. But those kids, those crews, take great pride in their work. Not a lot of thought. They're flying around. I think since evidently we have the newest up and coming special teams coordinator ever. I don't even know his name, but he took Bush's gig. This guy's got 2 blocked punts. I mean, that's 2 more than we've had in a hot minute. So good on him. Got to keep that moving. We got to keep it going. Because that phase of the game, we don't have the luxury. We don't have a luxury to have a bad day of special teams. Might be time to mix in a fake punt. Because you really have no reason not to. You do it at a random time. Pass on the onside kick. But you mix it up on your special teams. You try to create momentum. You try to get some juice for your team. Yeah, special teams has been a highlight of the year. It's always awkward when my coordinating coach asks me if my guys can do it. I continually answer no. That's though you're gonna hit plays. So the way it goes for me is I'm just you'll get into a game and you'll watch, and I can watch any game, and you start to see the individual battles happen, and you're like, okay, if they want to take advantage of this, we'll just throw out examples. You can hit the strong side A gap anytime you want, or you can hit the weak side B gap. Like those are the two areas where you're winning. Don't care what plays you call. Don't blocking, whatever. It doesn't matter. You're winning these two battles. So however you want to hit there. So the reason when a head coach would be like, hey, can we do this? And I would say no, is because it isn't in one of those two gaps. Like, hey, we want to do this. I'm like, wow, we are kind of getting our shit kicked out there. So no, we cannot do that. But that's the back and forth and the good flow of the coaching staff, the cohesion of it. Those are easy conversations. But yeah, you never, it's never good. You don't feel good. Hey, can we do this? Nope, sure can't. That ain't gonna happen. Chris asked, would making Casey a bit more mobile help to take some pressure off the O-line and start to keep defenses a bit more honest? Would help open up other parts of the running game, which at the time the offense is vanilla, which is, there's no worse vanilla. It seems like a little wrinkle that might help. Evidently, Chris hates French people, so all of our French crowd that's listening, direct that right at Chris. Evidently, he hates French vanilla. There's probably a reason. Okay, so if you want to roll, all right, your tackle has to have sweet feet because he's got to set your edge. And what in the comment have we heard quite a bit of? Everybody has issue with the tackle's feet. I think if I don't mind Casey throwing on the run, what I would do if I wanted to move him is just to bring back probably more bootleg. Where now I've got a puller. You know, it doesn't have to be a lineman. You can pull a back out to help set the edge and get him out in space, and then drop the pass out there to it. Everything though, because what Nebraska is going to start to get because their ability to throw a very, very nice deep ball. Palmer and Thompson have a great line of communication. They do great on the deep pass. You're going to start to see defenses, like good defenses, just play a shell over the top of wherever Palmer goes. Meaning there's going to be a safety over the top of him. And then another term you'll hear is a bracket. There's one guy top and one guy bottom. I was like, yeah, you may run past the corner and one-on-one. You might. Safety's going to be waiting for you. All right, Thompson, go somewhere else. And oh, by the way, you got about 2.5 seconds because we're going to get pressure. So the counter part of the boot, we're going to fake should slow everybody down a little bit. For that to be really good for you, some form of a threat of run has to be established. You can get creative and go Mike Leach and do ginormous splits and get it one-on-one. Not a fan of that one. Just giving you the option you can do. You can go down really tight splits, but we're just gonna now your ability to out quick us is gone because now we're down a foot. We're a foot away from the next guy. So all those creases and places you were able to slant can't anymore. So now we're going to try to mash that thing right up the gut. Then the play action pass becomes good. But I have to do something to distort the vision of the defense where they feel they have to come up and help. It'll be an interesting test. Patrick's in the same camp as me, it says. Palmer won't be able to he'll be locked down the rest of the year is what Patrick said. I think lockdown is tough because I think in space he can make a one-on-one move and get himself to catch passes. The bombs are probably what you're not going to see. And can Nebraska be disciplined enough to take the under routes, to take the little dink and dunks, to make the defense change and maybe put in another cover guy? Now you can go try to run the ball because that's where you are. But those are ways. They all will work. Everything in that will work. It's just you got to find what's best for your talent, the talent you have. Roles are going to be hard. Roles are going to be hard unless somehow you can get that outside end man on the line of scrimmage defensively flanked. If you can get that done, then you're good. Jamie says, what concerns me is the fact that the fan base has totally given up on blaming officials for the losses. We are literally 1.5 hour into the show, and not one comment on the non-pick holding call on 4th down. I got out of blaming official. It took me a while. I'm not always the fastest learner. When you play the game and you expect a call, warps your brain. You then, anything that goes wrong, you're looking at officials like, well, how did you not call something? Our luxury to get calls has evaporated long ago. We're going to get the blatant called, and we all feel everything we see is blatant. But I'm just more happy we personally only had 4 penalties in the game, down from the 30 we have in the other games. So that's been addressed and focused on in the game. It's tough to make that the focus of I thought. I don't know. I honestly don't know which one you're talking about. It's like I said, I watched this thing at like 2-3 in the morning. But overcoming like those kinds of things and store it in the. Here's the easiest thing ever. Store it in the bank. Like, hey, we know you missed it, but if you could just watch this on the next go round, that'd be awesome. Now the ref knows you missed it. You didn't yell and make him look like a fool. And now you're probably going to get one later you shouldn't. Which I didn't, it wasn't something like as I watched, I didn't glaringly stop and say, oh, they got hosed. I don't expect a call. They get away with it, they got away with it. In the grand scheme, though, the big takeaway from all of it is even with all of the, I can't find a better word, so I'm going to say this word. It's not a bad thing, but inadequacies. You battled back and you lost to a team by 7. A team that a guy that I hold very high regard as far as an evaluator of talent and somebody that's watched a lot of football said, hey, that's just that team is more talented. So, okay. I haven't dug into Purdue's roster, but take your word. They fought, they clawed, and they scrapped. I'm not in it's a 7-point loss committee or 6-point loss, whatever it was committee. It's a loss. You lost the game. But you can, through proper evaluation, now you can look at this and say, hey, here's what we got. Here's what the reality of this is. if we can continue to improve on X, Y, and Z, then the next week we can go 1-0 again. We went 0-1 last week. We're going to get back to 1-0. If we do these things, we make sure we're in this frame of mind as we're doing it, we can do this. We can accomplish this goal. If we can get our linebackers healthy or find somebody else who can play linebacker, I don't know if that means take a guy like that's a backup safety and he goes down now into the box and he's playing inside. That's okay. You can put little guys in there, fast little guys. But you can't put yourself in a position where the depth is that costly to you, because then it strains all your other levels. I got to come out of a bye week as structurally sound as possible, as my ability to understand everything Illinois will do in the game. But it's got to be a week like no other. Like that's got to be one of the many things you have to evolve on. If I can get those done, no word of a lie. This is all on how much film you want to sit down and watch. I don't know how many of you have seen it, but the Luke Kuechly NFL film was on the other day. And he's mic'd up and he knows what the offense is running. They motion in a down and distance and he's like, yep, they're going right there. Again, like I said, coaches have tendencies. Coaches have pet plays. Coaches have things they want to do all the time. So their ability to do that is on you. You can watch. There's no limit on the film you can watch. So now when you're out there, if you're a safety, a corner, a lineman, we've all watched a ton of film. I can see, hey, 3rd and 6, they want to do this. 3rd and 2, they want to do that. 2nd and 5, here's where they're going. You really can work yourself through that when you become student of the game. So, I mean, that would be the push or the press is for them to become students of the game and get those things done, because you can win that game. You can win that game. If you think you've got this thing locked down and it gets down to minute, right? Because even in passing lane, if I'm a tackle and I try to do too much and I vacate my gap responsibility and I create the lane for them to run through, that's my fault. I did that. You're striving for everybody to play every play perfectly. Not going to happen a whole bunch, but when it does happen, it will look good. But those little attentive to detail type of things, that's what's up. Here's what I want you guys to do. Hit me in the comments. Got an off week next week. I'm a little bit better equipped this week to do a show. All that means is Cam's here, and because I had no idea what to do with any of that technology. So we will do a show. I'm gonna try to grab some of the fellas. We'll either put them on the StreamYard or we'll have them live here in person. We'll just sit down and you guys fire questions. We'll get a State of the Union and kind of go from there. But I got a huge order here. Apologies for the late start. I hadn't MC'd in a while. Got some cocktails in me. Had a good night. But appreciate you guys for joining me this morning. Like I said, hit in the comments here. I'll reach out to some of the fellas. I'll see what Fat Taylor's doing. He won't leave his house, but we'll what is it? StreamYard. We'll stream him in. Should be able to get a couple other fellas to come down. I bribe them. Yeah, thank you guys so much for joining us. I hope you had a good time. I had a great time. And we will see you next week. Husker Hangover. Hurrdat Sports.